check. Cool. All right, are we live? Let's see. Are we live? Make sure. Oh, we are live. We're ready to go. All right. Welcome. So what we're doing today is pretty obvious. It's revealed right in the title alone. On this very, very hot day. This is like in the 90s we're at right now. So if I'm sweating, it's not because I'm nervous. I've done this before. It's because it's really hot out. So what we're doing today is we're making a GBS Control. Now a GBS Control is, and I always like to point this out because I'm a big believer in this. This is another tool for the toolbox for us retro gamers. That's what this is. And that's when I like to, you know, and I've done this before. I've said this to people before who have been interested in this product. Now I've gone ahead. I've made a few already. We're gonna do a little bit different because I actually got some Plexi, some acrylic made up for it. So we're gonna try that out. That's pretty cool. But you've probably seen, or maybe you have, maybe you haven't. If you haven't, go ahead, subscribe up to the channel. But I've gone ahead and I made like this. Probably this one I used in the video. I did like a quick install video about all of this. Again, the mods you could do. There's even other mods you could do. Just kind of like simple stuff. And yeah, you know, I still got it. It's still here. But we're gonna do another one. And you know, some people reached out to me. They said, hey, you know, is there any way you could do one with like release a video with the full modding, like, you know, no sped up modding whatsoever. And I basically said, you know, I'll one up you. Go ahead and do the mod live, and that's what we're gonna do. So here's what I like to preface this with, okay? And I know there's some people out there, okay? This is not a replacement for any other retro scaler or line doubler, okay? This really is a great tool to keep in the toolbox for a number of reasons, and we'll go over them real quick too. But there are so many people out there who are like, yo, why are you even building all this? Well, it's really just for certain use cases. And they're like, oh man, why? It was like, you get a Pi. You get a Raspberry Pi. Sure, if that works for you, awesome. Or, oh, you can get a Mister. You can get a Mister. Oh, well, that's great. Mister's incredible. If that works for you, go for it. That's all you. It's like, oh, well, this thing, you know, this is what's going to take out the OSSC. Save your money on your frame mices, your retro tank, right? Well, no, not at all. In fact, this is literally just another bit of tech. Another tool in the toolbox. Just like I got a toolbox over there full of tools that I use to mod, there's another one there, just for us. Again, I've got a RetroTink Pro. RetroTink 2X Pro, incredible scaler. I've got an RGB to SCART. Fantastic one. I get the classic from back in the day. Has the old firmware on. I haven't updated it yet. So yeah, not replacing any of these. Oh, just gotta replace the FrameMeister, right? No, not gonna replace the FrameMeister. Then it has to replace the King OSSC, right? No, it doesn't. Again, the OSSC is still, to this day, my favorite piece of tech for retro. That simple, hands down. I will say all these are amazing products, and they actually have different use cases. They really do. Again, the OSSC has some flaws. You know, it doesn't go with everyone's TV. You know, it doesn't. Even my TV it has a hard time with. One of them anyway. But you want something that's cheap and will absolutely get you where you need to go for a great picture at 480p. Boom, the classic, which unfortunately is end of life, but again, Mike Chi has another one coming down the road. Again, RGB to SCART. This thing, I literally can put anything into this and it will display. Like the Taito F3, which has trouble on the OSSC, has trouble on like anything else. Literally works fantastic with that. The Pro, these scan lines are the best I've ever seen in my life. It's incredible, incredible. And I don't even like scan lines. Still incredible. Again, in the FrameMeister, again, nowadays it's a little long in the tooth, I'll say, you know, especially now that we have things like the Time Sleuth, which I love. I got one upstairs I literally use that all the time. It's great to like everybody. And it's one of those things where, you know, like the lag, you know, we can do better. But what we do have today, as I'll go ahead and put all my scalers, line doublers, and all that to the side here. Again, stressing that This does not replace these. No, it's just another one to use for sure. And that's one thing I was even talking to Bob from Retro RGB, and I really wish I kind of really, I liked how he did a PSA in his video that just released today, because legit, like, it's true. It's some people really think this is the OSSC killer, and it's not. So with that out of the way, I'm gonna go ahead and share this out to my socials because I didn't do that yet actually. But yeah, so we're gonna be building one essentially from scratch today. I am going to go ahead and program it up on the computer so you can see how that goes with Arduino. Unfortunately, I've done a few, so even like all my computers are kind of set up with it. So we'll go over some of the things you might have to do to set up. Let me just put this out there. Tweeted that out. Cool. Alright. So far, I'm not even gonna lie to you, like I normally stream on Twitch and I've been having issues, like I just uploaded my stream from Twitch of the Neo CD SD loader, and the artifacting was inexcusable. It was horrible. And yet the same computer, same setup, looking right now, I don't see any artifacting. So YouTube may be where it's at. That may be where I'll be. We'll see. Well, let's get into it. So what is the GBS 8200? What is this thing? Well, this thing is actually a really cheap scaler that's used primarily for arcade sports. That's really what the use case is. But a man on the forums, a man with a plan, created a custom firmware for this that is absolutely incredible, and his name is Rama. And what he did is he made this scaler from a very mediocre, really a very mediocre scaler, to, I personally believe, one of the best scalers. Well, not one of the best, but one with most impressive features, I'll say, because some of the features this thing does is pretty incredible. Downscaling, that is insanely good. It really looks great, especially when you're downscaling to a CRT. What I love doing is I have a CRT, I have a Sony Trinitron, and I have a JVC, and I have two others, but that's not the point. And I also have my Sony PVM, but not the point. The point is the CRT. Back to the Trinitron. That doesn't take anything over 480i, but with the downscaling, I can go ahead and it can now take 240p. So I could take something that does 488p, does 720p, downscale that. Awesome, right? In addition, you could do, which is pretty incredible, motion. It's so good too. Motion adaptive deinterlacing. I'm not a fan of Bob deinterlacing. It never was. In fact, it kind of restricted me to PS2 really being on a CRT because the motion adaptive, the Bob deinterlacing just wasn't for me. But the motion adaptive, fantastic. It really does look great. When it comes to resolution switching, my goodness, it is incredible how good it is. It is fast, and again, the RetroTink was my go-to for a while, and it's again, it's still great for any games that switch between 240p and 480i. But this, this does. It just does it faster. So at the end of the day, it's like I said, another tool in the toolbox. Again, it's not replacing any of my scalers. Sure as heck is taking that OSSC off my shelf, because that OSSC line doubler is fantastic. But it is something else that will overall help out and help me enjoy the game. Isn't that what it's all about? So I have all the pieces here. So let's go over real quick what you would need to do this. And at least, we're going to do the required mods, then do some of the optional mods. And there's actually even more optional mods you can do that we're going to do here today. We're just going to do, just kind of trim the, trim the surface a bit. So first, VGA to HDMI adapter. You don't even need this, technically. This is actually something that will, and you can see it on here, same one. What this will allow us to do is just go ahead and have VGA to HDMI. Now you can actually get one of these with HDMI on it. One of the GBS boards does have it. I don't recommend it. I don't hear great things about that one. This one's nice because it gives you the option to go ahead, take off that VGA, have your analog out, put it on, and you have your HDMI. And of course, one thing that the GBS does not do is audio. It's just video only. So this allows you to go ahead and hook up your audio in and then HDMI out. So this is a cool adapter. It's cheap on Amazon, like 10 bucks. So we'll put that in. Also wire that to the power jack. So we got that. What else we got? Well, I have two of them right now, but I don't know why. Well, you know what? Here. There's actually, we have an Arduino board. So this is the ESP8266. This thing is a Wi-Fi board. I've used quite a few because I've delved into it with certain applications with the PlayStation 4. That's all I'm going to say. But nevertheless, we have a D1 Mini in here. We're not going to use that today, and that's because of the Plexi. I did use it in there, and so on. You can use that, but the pinout's the same. And then we do have the one we're going to use today right here. Okay. And again, if you check the video, it's got the links in the description in my original install video of everything. Okay. Boom, bam, perfect. What's next? The GBS board. So it does come with two harnesses. This harness right here is good if you want to use wire a SCART head, which you can to the input. And this one we are going to use. This is actually for power. That's going to give us power to the ESP board. Okay. Now what's interesting is, of course, you could power the ESP board either through 3.3 volts or 5. I highly recommend 5 volts. There's a few things I've come across that say, including Rama himself, who says that you should power it through 5 volts. In fact, even on the ESP boards, if you look, yeah, let's see if I can zoom it in here. For the V in, what? There you go. Focus, Bonnie. Focus. Focus. Too close? Close? Not close enough? There you can be able to see. Let's see, will this focus up better? Yeah, it's backwards though. Nevertheless, if you can't see it, it does right there on that black line. Let's see, what if I do like what those hand makeup models do here? No, still no, okay. Nevertheless, it says VN plus 5 volts recommended. Again, it's recommended to do 5 volts. And there's a 5 volt line on there, so why not? Rama suggests it, this suggests it. Can't be wrong. Two places, right? Yes, it can. Yes, it still can. All right, throw that to the side. We don't need that. Next up on our show and tell. Now I'm going to use some DuPont wires. Now DuPont wires are very nice because they are legitimately just that. They are these little ones with little essentially little harnesses that, in this case for our ESP, and again I'm doing this install kind of thinking, less soldering the better, as your average person's going to want to, take any of those scalers and go and, play upstairs, or play wherever your game room is. But here, this allows to, you just simply boom, boom, so you plug it right in, so you don't have to solder, okay? And I did point this out on my video too. I said you could always use DuPont connectors. In that video I soldered them. Again, you could definitely solder them, but this one in particular already came with the pin soldered, the GPIO pin soldered on, so we're just gonna we'll use them. Why not? Make it easy for us, right? A bag of capacitors that we're gonna put in there to help with any type of video noise, and some. Oh, look at that! A lot of resistor leads that I've used, cut off and used. And what we do with those is when we bridge the RGB pots, because we'll be doing that. All right, and here's the Plexi I got in. Look at this. I have not taken off the peelies yet. I've saved the peelies just for this occasion. But it already looks great. I kind of matched it up. This is actually, believe it or not, a little too small for it. But again, we'll make it work. We'll make it work. We'll make it work somehow. Okay. And then I got this kit that is all a bunch of standoff screws and stuff like that. I got that on Amazon. So easy peasy. 1, 2, 3, easy. There you go. So what we're going to do first is, what I like to do first in the process is actually go ahead and flash the Arduino board. So the flashing is actually pretty fast, especially depending on your system. But the big thing here is to make sure you're all set up with it. So because I already have libraries, I got my micro USB down here. I've already got my libraries and all that set up. We're going to kind of, you know, I'm going to guide you through it a little bit as much as I can. Okay, so I'm going to bring up Arduino and then switch to the other one here. I'll even move my chair on over. Hey, you're getting close. Hey, we're getting close. Alright, so we're going to load up Arduino. We'll show you how to flash this bad boy. mod extreme. Hey, there I am. All right. So here we go. And we're back. Oh, tipped over my water. All right, so if that's all good, we can go ahead. We can unplug boop, the ESP, and we're good to go. This bad boy is ready to roll. So first thing you want to do is go ahead and get out your GBS board. Here it is. So this is the one we're using today, the black button one, which is a good one, I hear. So we'll go ahead, we'll use that. Now this particular setup is going to have, like I said, the acrylic that I had made. So we'll find out a way to kind of mount this, even if we mount like one screw or two screws. But either way, it's going to be off to the side, and it actually looks like it's going to be off to the side a bit. Yeah. So we might have to use a little longer wires than I prefer, but we'll be all right. We'll make it. We always do. We'll make it. So again, if you bring up all the stuff I'm going to be doing today, is all on Rama's GitHub. You know, this isn't, you know, I'm just walking you through it. Rama's the one that did all this. All the credit goes to him. He's incredible. He really is for what he's done here for the community. So, you know, we'll start with the power. So the power, again, that's that 2 wires that came with it, and it's the only 2 we're going to solder to the ESP, because again, if we wanted to, we could rip it out, we could use the pads and solder there, but why solder there when we could just solder over here, like, you know, it's whatever, right? So you do need to use it on the, you do want to put the red onto the V in, which is down here on this particular board, and the ground that's right next to it. Are these too long? Absolutely, and so we're going to cut them down. Again, I think if you've watched one of the live streams before, you'll know my preferred method to cut down wires and such. It's almost laughable, except the fact that it works really well. Again, I have wire strippers there. I got another pair over there, you know, nice mechanical ones. But right there, man. Nail clippers, especially for kind-on wire, it's key. But you know, it's right there. And if I wanted to, I could even just use my electrician's wire on fire strippers here. If that makes you feel better. They give you a lot of extra wire. You're not gonna need that. So we'll strip this bad boys, and then we'll tin them, and we'll wire them on in. There you go. And the reason why I'm doing this instead of soldering to the bottom of the board is because what I like to do is solder the HDMI converter. That's also 5 volts to the 5 volts on this board. Again, it doesn't hurt at all, and in the end, it only makes it so you have to plug in one thing if you want HDMI out. So now my soldering iron has been, it's the handle really, it's been on the fritz. So I actually have a backup soldering iron too, and we'll see, like, if this works, we'll continue with this. If it does not, then we will not. We'll go ahead and I'll stop and plug in the other one. Well, it's already plugged in, but bring it up here. Yeah, it was a little, it's like happened during the last stream. All of a sudden, I started getting an error message on my soldering iron. So, not too happy about that, but it is what it is. It happens. I use this bad boy a lot, like a lot, like a lot. And it might just need to be opened up and fixed. So even here, I'm like, it's a little too long. There you go. Cut that down a bit. There we go. Actually, might want to bring this up. I'm at 300 right now, which is what we're going to do when we're on the board. Bring it up to 340. When we do the debug pin, that's going to be big. It's going to be big. So then you take your, you know, I'm going to just kind of wet the solder here with new solder. Again, I like to use 60-40. And, you know, most applications I like to use flux, but right here, might make more of a mess than it's worth. Even using Kester no clean, I'm kind of like, there's no such thing as no clean flux. So it's gonna clean it off afterwards. There we go. Now the ground is probably gonna take this a little bit more to heat up. There we go. Finally. Cool. There we go. We can touch those up later if we want, but nevertheless, it's good to go for now. So, next step. Oh, and we do have our jumper we need to put in, or you can just jump out the bottom solder points here, which I'm gonna do. I mean, I might have a jumper hanging around somewhere, but otherwise, just jump these two solder points in the bottom. Bada bing, you're done. You just want to flood it with solder. Make sure it contacts both points, and you're done. So it is now jumped. Actually, I could even do a little bit better with this one. If you've seen my other like live streams, I get a little OCD sometimes when it comes to modding. Something like this, you just gotta have the 2 points touch, but I kind of just want to make it look good too. Even though no one's gonna see it, it's on the bottom of the board. Still, doesn't matter. Modding is an art. Alright, so it's jumped. Bada bing, we've got the ESP all set up there. Our next thing we're going for is we're going to do the debug pin. So we're going to do 3 of these. Debug pin, the which is the MSIO, I believe. This is the SDA and the SCL. So we'll go ahead and take these right here. So I'm going to cut these down, man. It's like wicked long. There we go. And again, in my other video I showed just soldering them. You could do that too. So, it's whatever your heart desires. So, you're going to have, these are the same as the other one, the mini. So D6 is your, these things are huge, huh? What's the other end like? Might be able to use that for D1, D2. Yeah, those are spaced pretty well. D1, D2 are next to each other. Oh, actually, no. Is the spacing right on these? No. No, it is. Okay. Yeah, it's, yeah. There we go. D1, D2 plugged in. And in this case, we're going to have green all by its lonesome. I'll just do that. That's going to be a D6. It's huge, though. Big connector. Oh, well. Should be alright. So, again, kind of, in my case, again, I'm going to be putting it on here, so I want to make sure it's kind of like, that's where we were going to put it. Which, with the debug pin, it is literally the second pin on this chip right here. Okay, second pin. So, just thinking like lengthwise. Actually, pretty close, but we're going to cut just a bit off. Okay, and we'll go ahead. We are going to flex on that one for sure. Now these bad boys are going to go to these pads right here. Now mine's not populated. I have seen some boards where they're actually populated. You could just take off the connector at that point, or go from the bottom of the board. Either or. Alright, we'll say like right about there. There we go. Again, with these just quick little strips, no good. You know, you don't gotta have these long mounts of wire just chilling there. Alright, we'll go ahead and I'm gonna turn the iron down to 300. I'm gonna go ahead and just tap these real quick, get them all nice and tinned. Perfect. Okay, so D1 in our case is our yellow wire. So our yellow wire is, or D1 is SCL. So it's going to be that one right there. Now what I'm going to do too is, because I have it lying around, I did have it lying around. Oh yeah, there it is. In case there's anything on those pads, I'm going to use a fiberglass pen to go ahead and just kind of, you know, get any surface stuff off. So, do love me some fiberglass pen, just saying. So, take it off. Pin we're going to solder to, SDA, and SCL, real quick. Okay, just to go ahead and, you know, give it a better surface to bond if there is something on there. So, yeah, it's there, why not? So D1 is SCL. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to load these pads up with some fresh solder. There we go. We'll do those first. So again, double check. D1 for me is yellow. That's SCL. So we're going to go ahead and actually I'll make sure you'll be able to see it all right. SDA. That's too long. Now technically, you don't have to even put in the debug pin if you don't want to. What the debug pin allows though, and that's why I highly recommend you do though, is it allows the menu to go ahead and function properly and function well. That menu, man, is pretty awesome. I enjoy it. I wish it wasn't Wi-Fi, but at least it's obviously it gives you an option. This thing does not come with a remote, so obviously it's like, well, that's either Wi-Fi or nothing. So, you know, totally okay with that. All right, like I said, it's going to be the second pin here on the bottom of this chip. Just kind of putting some on there. Still at 300 for the iron. And again, for some, this might be the hardest part of the install. If you're just doing the, you know, kind of standard install, we'll say. You know, the one that'll get you up and running, no problem. But we are going to cut down on some noise and improve the color with the mods we're going to do. Flux there. Back up. Get a little Kester no clean. It's going to help that wire bond right there. Look at that. Beautiful. Now again, called Kester no clean. Still got to clean it. Still got to clean it. So get some ice purple alcohol. The higher the alcohol, the content, the better. You know what I'm saying? It is because, of course, again, I would say 91 or above, and you're in good shape. I know right now it can be a little hard to find it, but you know that will change soon. Do not you worry. Do not you worry. Okay, just kind of get that all out of there. And what I even like to do further is go ahead and get some paper towel, and there you go. And if you've ever seen any of my other modding videos, you'll see I do this all the time. It's just, in my humble opinion, good practice. It's just good practice. So there you go. So we got our jumper closer, debug pin, our ground, and everything. We are, if you want to right now, you're golden to go ahead, turn this thing on. You've already got the custom firmware on. You're ready to roll, but we can take this further. Yes, we can. One mod I will recommend, straight up, is of course the 100 ohm resistor. This is required if you're going to use the RGB input. And you know, again, what I recommend is if you're going to use arcade boards, you know, you can go ahead, take off this resistor. You're not going to need it. However, if you need to use, if you're going to be using it with a console, definitely go ahead and put this resistor on. Incredibly easy to do, because all you got to do is wrap this. See, put the resistor right there, and then just curl it around. Look at that. Curl it around. Okay, you can do it a few times and cut off the excess, or you could go to town. You could do the whole resistor if you want, the whole leg if you really want. No one's holding you back. This is you know, this is your masterpiece. Okay, this is your masterpiece. There you go. So that's good enough twist for me. So the best way I like to do it is after I twist it, take it off so it still has the twist there, and cut off any excess. In this case, we a little bit there. Boop. Boop. And there you go. There you go. And again, I'll just put it back on for now. Okay. And again, you can also re-spool it a little bit if you want. The idea is that it's easy to get off if you use arcade hardware, so you could just, you know, just literally take it off. But again, if you're using console, it's there. That's going to bring the levels down to 75 ohms. Technically, it's 82 ohms. It's going to bring it to, but that's well within, you know, well, you're good. You're good. That you're good for console. There you go. You see, so you can just pull it on and off if you want. Bada bing. Alright, so that's really it for the required mod. These pots, it's very recommended you take them off. However, realistically, for this, we'll say the basic, technically what's going to happen is that these RGB pots are going to be controlled digitally now. They're going to be controlled via the ESP. So really what's going to happen is you might as well take them off, especially because then, you know, you won't mess it up, you know, with, you know, it being different settings. Well, you know, it can get a little messy. So we are going to take them off, but totally understandable, as now we're going into, I would say, more of the advanced with this particular board. So you do have to desolder them, and when we desolder, first thing we will always want to do is go ahead and add fresh solder, because that's going to make it flow a lot better. So when you flip over the board, you're going to see this 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Those are the three we're taking off, baby. So just go ahead, put some new solder on there. Again, I'm actually going to bring up my iron a bit. I'm going to boost it to 340. Just go ahead and just, you know, all we're doing is introducing new solder here, just to make it easier for it to come off. That's all. Yeah, so that one's a ground, so it's going to take a little bit more heat. So looking at this angle from behind the bottom left of the the Triforce is definitely ground. So that one's going to be a little, it's going to be a little stubborn. It's going to need a little more heat. We're going to bring it up. There we go. I'll bring it up to 375. Again, we're just free flowing new solder, that's all. go. There we go. So what I'm going to do is immediately bring back down my iron, or bring it to 300, because you don't want to by accident like solder with like 375 on like a pad or something, because we are going to be changing out some of the capacitors. All right, now it's time to take out one of my favorite tools in investments, period. Ladies and gentlemen, if you do modding, if you perform mods, you need yourself a desoldering gun. And don't get the cheap, like, you know, just the handle. You want specifically the ZD915. This thing is incredible. For the price that I paid for this thing, okay, and again, Hacko makes great stuff. In fact, I actually use Hacko filters in there. That's what's in, you know, whoop, that's a Hacko filter in there. But for the price, this gun, you just can't beat it. It is ultra reliable. It works so well. In fact, the ZD915 I highly recommend to anybody who wants to get their first soldering gun, or desoldering gun, I mean. Now, one thing that's pretty interesting, it's not great for stream, let's put it that way, but the best way to desolder a board, straight up, if you can hold it handheld, is let gravity do the work. You know, if you go like this at the board, again, that vacuum has to suck, okay? And it's a vacuum, but it's not going to have a, you know, never has a like a full vacuum. It really never does. So, whoop, your best bet, honestly, is to go ahead, hold the board, in this case like this, and then just go from the bottom. See, so it just helps flow it down. I've noticed by doing that, you're going to get a much cleaner removal of the solder the first time. Does it look good on stream? No, you can't see anything, but it does work rather well. Okay, and sometimes it can get clogged if you don't do it that way. So again, it's going to be like that. Not good for a stream though. Do it on the side though, so you can see. So get it molten, hit that vacuum up, bada bang. Even from the side is good, and even if you do like a small tilt like this, you're still going to be okay. You know, you'll still be all right. But again, doing it completely upside down like this, actually you have a better chance straight up, because gravity is going to help you out. And don't be surprised if you have to go back. Not a big deal. Now, I've done NES RGB mods with the ZD15. I've done high def NES mods with this bad boy. I've, you know, recapped so many consoles. I'm telling you, it's worth it. And there you go. So then you take a peek, and I'm already seeing a couple that probably could use a little bit more, you know, they didn't get all the way, and that happens. So take a pair of tweezers, just kind of double check, see if, you know, it's nice and loose. Yeah, we're looking loose. Bada bing. Yeah, there's a few here that definitely could use another shot, right? So what I like to do in that case, take your fresh solder again, add more fresh solder. I'm going to turn up the temp again. Okay. We're up to temp. So let's flow some more fresh solder in there. Make sure it's getting in there. And that way it should be easy to remove. So really, if you can see on my camera here, it was mainly the grounds, which I knew they were gonna, you know, they always kind of, you know, take a little bit more heat and such. So not a big deal. Not a big deal at all. Again, personally, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to turn down my iron. That way I can be nice and safe and know that I'm not going to hit something with like 375, 380 by accident. Okay, I have my desoldering iron at 365. Oh, where did my pin go? It's always good with the desoldering iron to have a cleaner pin just around, just because during the mod, there it is, it just fell. You know, if this does get clogged up, you can go ahead and just make sure it's nice and, you know, nice and free. Now, can you use a solder sucker with this? Absolutely, you can. Solder wick, yeah, you might be able to get away with it. But again, this is definitely going to be the easiest time is with this. And again, if you plan to do any other retro gaming mods, it's worth it. It's really worth it to pick up the ZD915s for the price. And a desoldering gun will just help with any headaches. If you've tried a mod, or if you plan to recap and stuff, it's... You can totally fangirl over it. I love it. I love it! Alright, we should be in good shape. Let's double check. This one just wants to come out. Oh my goodness. There it is. See you later. See you later. Make sure. Oh, look at that. Yeah, there's like a little bit of solder right there. That one's so small though. It's like a little drop. I'm just gonna heat it up. Actually, what I'll do, I'll heat it up with the desoldering iron. So we'll go all the way around it. There we go. Let's see, did I knock that bad boy off? Yeah, it looks like it did. There we go. Let's just nice and loose. Alright. There we go. Yeah, it's the ground ones, man. They're just get stuck on there so bad. Goodbye. Okay, that should have been loose. Oh, it was loose. Okay. There you go. You want some nice clean pulls so it doesn't affect the actual holes. Because you are going to be soldering to some of them, not all of them. RGB pot 1, 2, 3, gone. See you later. See you later. So those RGB pots are done. They're done. That's it. So the way it works is with the, you know, again, going off now the more or less optional mods, you do have to go ahead and essentially bridge between, here I'll use my tweezers, these two right here. Okay, so if you'll, actually I'll bring it up. So you want to bridge from, this thing really loves to focus, huh? So you want to bridge between here and here. Okay, so that this ground one that's been giving us trouble, you didn't need it. You don't need it. You don't need it. And so what do we use for that? I'm glad you asked. We're using some old resistor leads. Now I have a ton of them, but you know, anything really for jumpers is good. But you know, old resistor leads are like literally perfect for this. So you can go ahead, you can put it in. Again, bend it over. This one's actually, there we go, just bend that. Then we're going to solder them in and then cut them down. So there you go. Just going to do another bend here. There we go. And then on the other side of the board, for now, just gonna fold it over so it doesn't fall through. Especially because we're gonna be playing with the next two, so this would be bent over even one leg, less likely to have it fall through. Okay, so let's bend it again. you go. And then the last one. We'll solder them in, and there you go. I really am doing these mods really in the order of like if you want to do them or not, because realistically, the first mods we did you had to do. Then when I added a debug pin, you don't have to do it, but highly recommended. The resistor I definitely recommend if you are going to use for consoles straight up. But everything else, this is optional. It's going to make your experience better. So, and honestly, you do want to take off the RGB pots for sure. It does make a world of difference. Oh, look at that! One of them came out. Even with the bent pin, yeah, it came out even with the bent pin. It's fine. We'll bend down the other pin. Oh yeah, this one's a little smaller. Come on. Come on. Get in there. No, we're not going to do the clock generator. Again, another, adding the clock gen board. That's another great mod you can do with this thing. But we're not going to do that today because of one simple reason. I ran out. It's that simple. However, if you are interested in it, it's actually, again, Rama's got everything on his GitHub, so you can go ahead and check it out there. I'm going to put a dab of flux. I'm going to get this first one in. Or this middle one in, rather, just because it's been a pain. It's been falling out and such. But once I get one in, I'll just go ahead. The one pin I bent to the side, I should say. I'm going to bend it up. Bada bang. Okay, let's get the other ones in. Now, one thing that I think is great about the GBS Control with these mods, too, if I'm going to be honest, is it's actually nice that it has to be modded, because this board costs $20. You know, sometimes less than I've seen more than like 25, right? If you need practice soldering components, you actually have a lot of different soldering of components you have to do in some of the optional mods on this board. So, you know, so far I've soldered to a pin. Now, it's not the smallest pin in the world on that chip, but, you know, it was soldering to a pin on a chip. If you've never done it before, there you go. Again, soldering to an Arduino board. If you've never done desoldering, again, that's what we did here. And then, of course, you know, what we're going to be doing is putting in small capacitors as well. So realistically, if you're like starting out, you kind of want to learn how to mod, you're interested in the scene, this GBS board isn't a bad place to start. Now, if you've got, you know, busted up boards, those are obviously going to be better, because if you mess up and it's a busted up board, then oh well, who cares? But at the end of the day, this board is so cheap that, you know, if you mess up, you're not breaking the bank, you know? Now what I'm doing is I'm just pushing these through, so I'm heating it up, just kind of pushing it through, just so they'll be, you know, a little more flush, in case they move during the soldering process. So it takes real quick, bada bing, done and done. Now, we used Kester no clean flux, which means we get it clean. Take out that isopropyl alcohol, take out that, you know, hopefully not your personal toothbrush, but any old used toothbrush is fine. Or if you have an ESD brush, like a nylon brush, it's fine. It all works. All does the same. All does the same. So there we go. Just wash these real quick. 2 in the back, and then we're gonna cut down these legs. Cut them down. So I have flat cutters. Those are what I recommend definitely to go ahead and cut them down. Just, there you go. You just go. Boop. There you go. Beautiful. And of course, just like before, just take a quick piece of Bounty and just clean everything up. I like to work nice and tidy. Nice and tidy, as you can see. Alright, are we done? No. We are not done yet. Normally, well, you could be. You could be done if you wanted to. Honestly, these are pretty much like the mods you need to do. Like, this is, like, you're going to be in good shape if you do these mods, but let's take this next level. So, first, and again, these are mods are for the 8200, not the 8220. Different board that does require some different mods in some cases. So this one is specifically for the board we're using today. Version 4, 8200. So, let's get right into it. We're going to go ahead and in C11, let's go ahead and show you where C11 is. You'll see it's right here. Okay? Bring it up to you. C11. Do you see C11? Dude, this camera does not want to focus at all. Anywho, it's right there. It's going to say C11. What we're going to do is we're going to take that bad boy off. We're going to actually replace it with an electrolytic cap. 22 microfarad, 16 volt cap. Which I put right here. I knew that. I knew that. So this is one that's going to, one of the mods that'll cut down on noise. Now keep your, yeah, the sticky from the flux. Keep your iron just not too hot. I'm going to keep mine at around 300, 301, 300. I'm going to add some new flux to both sides of the cap that's currently there. And again, you could desolder, or if you heat it up to 300, you're actually going to be good to just kind of heat it up. You have the new solder, and then if you kind of pull up into the side, you can flip up the cap usually. Again, if you're not comfortable, feel free to take out that desoldering iron and desolder it. Okay? I personally do that instead, but I kind of like doing this like, if you didn't have a desoldering iron, maybe you're new at soldering. So I'm doing this, yeah. Here we go. So I'm just going to kind of wet these with new solder. Whoa, that was a lot of solder. Not that much solder. Yeah, see, that's what I think of this handle. I think it's the handle that's acting up on my soldering iron. Yeah. Because it's not keeping the temp right where I want it, which is not ideal, but again, I've got a new handle coming. Don't we all have something coming in the mail? It's not going to be here for a bit. So, I'm just going to add a little flux, and I'm going to go ahead and essentially we're just wetting these pads down here. Okay. Oh, that's why. For some reason it wasn't even heating up. I was like, why is it not heating up? Okay, so you want to get some solder on those pads. So again, the cap will have no issue at all adhering to it. Okay, so electrolytic cap, 22 microfarad. And I have like a whole bunch of caps and stuff, so you may not even have one of these hanging around. So, you know, you can either order them from DigiKey, Mauser, or your favorite cap distributor, or just not do this mod. Up to you. Totally up to you. So the way you want to do the mod, pretty simple, is you have the ground that's going to be on the right side when we're looking at the board. Actually, let's go ahead and let's test that. We'll do another lesson right here. Test. So remember, capacitors are, you know, you do want to go ahead and put them in the correct way. So I'm going to go ahead, clean this off, because I don't want to get that stuff on my, I want to get that flux on my meter, which is over here somewhere. Close by, very close by. Just a second. To put it bluntly, I found a meter. Not my favorite one though, but you just want to set it to continuity. Where is my fluke meter? It was around here somewhere. Oh, watch it be right in front of my face. That happens more than you think. Alright, so we know you gotta look for, okay, what's a place on the board that's definitely a ground? Oh, there's one right there. So if we know this is a ground, then we should show continuity between that and a ground point. Ah, and we do. See, so there's continuity to the right here because that is also, again, on the same ground. So that's where we're going to put the negative. There we go, perfect. So that shows continuity. We're golden. That's going to be where you're going to put your ground. Again, if you actually look right here, from here to this leg on the chip is actually the same. Again, that's just literally what happened. This leg of the chip goes right here. That's all. So really, if you really wanted to, you could just solder. If this is a big area for you to solder, you can solder right to that. Yeah, not a big deal. Or if you rip off a pad, I should say, too, you can go ahead and you can do that. So you kind of put, like, you know, should do that like this. Now again, we use Nichicon caps in this household, which is actually some of the best like caps I've found. There you go. Just cut off the excess legs. Oh, jeez. My flux. Now remember, when you're dealing with a capacitor, the negative is the stripe. So let's get the tweezers out. There they are. You could use tweezers, or you can use your fingers too if you want. Be careful. I'm gonna flex it up. No, I did not swear. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I'm gonna add some solder to the leg as well. And we're going to go ahead. I'm going to solder this bad boy in. I apologize if it's hard to see. But yeah, which is how big the cap is. There are times I just purposely solder right to the middle egg. Because it's easier. Yeah, you are going ahead and soldering to an electrolytic cap to where a ceramic one was. So, you know. Check, make sure I turn off the meter. You don't want the meter running, do you? It's a bad joke. It's a boomer joke. I mean, parking meters are like, even when I see them in the city now, they're like, you don't even put quarters in. It's like, there's the app. So was it like Park Pass or something like that? I think it is. It's crazy. It's like, wow. I mean, it's convenient. Don't get me wrong. If you know you're gonna, you know. If you're there longer at a place than you thought you were gonna, well, you could just pop in more quarters and you're good. So can't complain about that. All right, we're looking pretty snazzy. So again, got the cap in there, bada bing, soldered in nice and good. Now our next step is, again, if you want to, no pressure, only if you want to. Is to do some of the other optional mods. So, what are they? Well, they are going to be a little bit smaller. They are going to be smaller caps. Now, we are also going to be soldering these in parallel, which means you don't remove the cap that's there. You're going to go ahead and instead solder the cap on top of the other cap. Okay, I'll show you that. But that's what, when it says you have to do it in parallel, that's what that means. You have to solder right on top of the other cap. Okay, so first off, they're both going to be 10 microfarads, but they are different sizes. So we'll do the little guy first. So one is 0603, the other is 0805. So we'll do the 0603. That's going to be on C42. C42. So if you look, there's C42. It's not going to focus. I don't even know why I try anymore. Ah, there it is. C42. It's that little guy. Right there. So again, you want to solder on top. Okay, hop on top. Solder on top. There you go. So, simple stuff there. Again, get your flux, put it on the chip. I'm going to go ahead and just add some new flux to the chip. I keep saying chip, to the cap. Okay, so it's got some new flux, it's got some new solder. And then you take out one small little cap. That's all you need, just one. Can you even see that on camera? Barely. So this one, not a bad idea to use tweezers. So take the little guy, hold it. Don't lose it. I'm going to turn the board just so it's easier to solder. Again, place it on top of C42, and because you have that excess of solder you already put there, go ahead and kind of essentially tack it in place. Again, go ahead, put some more flux. I'm going to do the other side. Again, I'm going to hold the tweezers there still, because again, it's going to get hot. Oh, see, where that came. That side didn't tack on very well. That's fine. There we go. We heat it up. Nice. So I'm just adding a little bit more solder just to make sure it's in there very well. Make sure you don't bridge between the two. Again, you don't want to go ahead and on the 2 points on the same capacitor literally bridge. So just make sure you can still see the little brown stripe, if you will. Perfect, and it's in there. All right, we'll clean that off in a second. But first, we no longer need those little caps. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them away, because you can imagine just how easy these can get lost. Pretty easy. So I'll put this bad boy away. Put that over there. And then now we are going to need 3 of the bigger caps, the 08, 05s. And they're going to go around the same area of the board. Not quite, some of it's a little off. So first we have C43. So right here, right next to C42. And you have C23, which I believe was over here. Yes, right there. So to show you, we've got C23. So we're going to solder on top of this cap. We're going to solder on top of C43, so C23, C43, and then C48, which is down here, okay? So those are the 3 caps you need to put on, and I think that'll, for at least today, that'll be it for this bad boy. Will literally be, you know, definitely will reduce the noise quite a bit. And then I am going to go ahead and put it in the Plexi. I'm going to try it out, see how the Plexi looks. Yeah, I ordered it. I want to see how that's looking. So again, just like before, I got my iron at 300 because you don't want to burn off any pads. Little flux, new solder. Take your tweezers, take your little cap, which seems gigantic in comparison to the one you just did. Put it on top. And there you go. It's funny because, you know, during this stream I was like, you know, before I did the stream I was like, oh, I won't even set up the microscope. And I, thinking at this part it would have been good to set up the microscope. That's okay. There you go. That's on. Take out your next one. And we'll just do that. Little guy. Because it's so little. Hey, little guy. C23 will do next, so let's flux that up, add a little bit of extra, some new solder, a little extra of course. Oh yeah, that's right, this is the one I don't like, because all the big electrolytic caps are in the way. They're bullies. They're bullies. Go. Take your tweezer. Pop that right on top. Solder it up. Oh no, it fell over. That's fine. Yeah, C23's got some tight quarters. straight up. But it's fine. Still very doable. There we go. I'm going to clean that off in a second. First, I want to tack in this side. Perfect. Wipe off this excess. And maybe on a follow upstream when the clock generators come in, I'll go ahead and show a little bit about that too. Alright, and then last but not least is C48. That will be our last soldering of the day, if all went well, which it did. Oh, put that down. So new solder, a little extra solder. Oh my goodness, because the last thing we gotta solder is... That I'm getting pretty hungry. I never solder on a empty stomach. Go around here. Perfect. Actually, I'm just going to make sure this did go up there. Oh yeah. There you go. Again, this is going to be in a case anyway, so. Okay, and that's for today. That's it for the optional mods. There are more optional mods. There are different optional mods too, if you have a different board. But for today, this is perfect. We'll end it here for that, because I kind of really want to see how good this Plexi case looks. I ordered it off of a place that was recommended on Discord. It was Pocono, I believe, or something like that. And it seemed like it was good quality, straight up. You can get all different types of colors and stuff like that. And the price was reasonable, you know. Was it the cheapest? Not at all. You know, it was, you know, it was cheap, but, you know, if you're really like going for a cheap with this thing, you could just make sure to protect the bottom, and you know, that's really it. You don't even really need a case. Recommended, but you know, if you make sure nothing shorts on the bottom of the PCB, it's not like it won't work. But again, if you have a 3D printer, that's how I did that one. Again, on Thingiverse, there's a few designs. I just chose that design because that works for my setup. However, you can go ahead and you can choose your own design. You know, whichever works for you. If you don't have a 3D printer, you can pay for it to be 3D printed, or like I said, you could pay for the acrylic, which is a great option too. Well, we're going to see just how great of an option. Here we go. So I'm going to inspect my work here. Sometimes we just do hit it real quick. Make it look a little bit better. Like this one's got some little excess hair of solder. Put just a little more This is just a little OCD coming out, that's all. Yeah. Okay, walk away. Walk away. It's fine. Okay, yeah, we'll walk away after this, I swear. Okay, walk away. Walking away. Cool. So it's all good, looking great. Again, the flex is cleaned off the board. The nice purple's cleaned off the board. What I'm gonna do is, I've actually never. Really? Oh, it's. I didn't know it's getting blown up with all the GBS Control talk here. Oh, wow. There you go. I mean, I'm just, you know, soldering away. Soldering away. Cool. So I'm excited because, again, I've built a few of these, you know, and I've never actually done a Plexi case. I've always done, you know, 3D printed cases and so on. So I'm excited to do that. Oh, actually, you know what? I lied. We can put this on. So watch this. This is hilarious. Watch this. As we're putting on the HDMI here. Some funny stuff right here. So you get this on Amazon, right? What? $10 gift card? Literally every one I bought of these. If you leave them a review, send them a screenshot, they'll go ahead and give you $10 apparently. I've never done it. But it does, they of course like to put, please don't show the card in the review. Sketchy. So what are we doing with this bad boy? Well, if you want to do HDMI out, this is one of your best bets. I recommend getting the GBS Control 8200 or the 8200. 8220, 8220, you know. So the reason why is because if you want analog out, it's pretty simple. It's right there. If you want two analogs out, that's the 8220. But if you want digital out, boom, now you got digital out. You got both options. So yes, you can get the other GBS board that does have the HDMI out. I just personally don't think it's worth it. Now, the great thing about this too is, like you saw on my other board, audio in, so you have your audio going in, HDMI out if you want. But this does have to be powered. Wah, wah. But that's okay, because you get the power right here. And if you want, you can go ahead and you can absolutely just, you know, plug it in, power it up, there you go. But now you need two power supplies, right? There we go, get in there. But now you need two power supplies. You know, 5 volt for the barrel here, which I believe is 2.5 millimeter. Again, I have in my original video there. Or this specific one does run off of 5 volts. This board runs off of 5 volts. This is 5 volts right under here. You do the math. So I'm going to cut it right about here. that USB cable it comes with. And you'll notice something real quick about it. I'll notice something real quick with my wire strippers. Yeah, they are. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Afro Man. That's cool. Thank you. That's good. That's good to hear. That's good to hear. I'm really just, you know, I'm a fan of the GBS Control for what it is, which is a great tool. I kind of said at the beginning of the stream where I literally pulled out like all my other scalers and line doublers. It really is a great tool, but that's it. It's a tool in the toolbox. It's not a replacement. I agree 100% with Retro RGB. This is a great tool for the toolbox, but this is not taking the place of an OSSC anytime soon. That's for sure. But again, if, you know, this suits your needs, and this is all you need, go for it. You know? I ain't stopping you. But the RetroTink, especially if you want plug and play, RetroTink, incredible. OSSC, sharpest I've ever seen. And again, for my personal setup, it really comes down to the motion adaptive deinterlacing. I think it's better than Bob deinterlacing by miles. Like I shared, it's one of those things where I used to play PS2 on my CRT only. That's it. But because I just didn't like Bob deinterlacing on the OSSC, and most games are 480i. But then with this motion adaptive, I have started playing those games on my 4K screen, and it looks great. That's great. That's a great feature. The other great feature is the downscaling. It's great. And the instant resolution switching. But again, for 2D, Super Nintendo, Genesis, you know, NES, I'm sticking with my OSSC, straight up. So can't stress enough. It's just another tool in the toolbox. Because I know there are some people out there that are like die-hard fans of this. I think this is like end-all be-all. It's really not. Alright, so we're going to solder up. And again, you don't have to do this. This is only if you want to just have one power supply. Let me turn up the temperature. Oh, you know what? There it is. Soldering iron error. That new handle can't come fast enough. There we go. I am going to turn it up though, because the next one is a ground. So we already know that's going to, you know, suck heat away. We need to go ahead and combat that. There we go. That's our first solder. I'm probably gonna add a little more flux too. Right. There we go. Now that's the last of the soldering. So I recommend this step too if you do plan to use it with HDMI, mainly because of course this is a very reversible step if you ever wanted to. Yes, exactly. You're 100% right. That's for me. That's the two things that I recommend getting this for is, again, the instant switching from 240p to 480i it's awesome. Like I was playing Silent Hill. I was playing Fighters Megamix. You know, there's some of my arcade, like Die Hard Arcade, that switches all the time. And if you know Die Hard Arcade at all, what happens is it goes literally from 240p to 480i, or it just loses its resolution, something, I don't know, it just desyncs between parts where you're like running and you have to like kick or punch or jump, and it literally makes it impossible because you miss it if you're playing on anything else but something like this. Again, the RetroChink does go fast as well, I will definitely say that as well, but yeah, for that it's great. And again, I can't stress enough that motion adaptive interlacing, it literally, the first time I literally saw it, it blew me away. I was like, wow, this is what I've been waiting for. Because the Bob D interlacing it's very jittery, and in capture as well, it's very jittery in capture. But this handles it so good, and I think what also really does well too when it comes to this, I'm just going to touch this up here, is the fact that, you know, you have the Framemeister that, you know, also handles, you know, deinterlacing pretty well, that's for sure. But again, when it comes down to it, you know, the Framemeister has so much lag. You know, I shouldn't say so much, but it's got, you know, a lot more lag than I think some of us are used to. Yep, there's the error again. Come on, it's the last point. There we go. That new handle cannot get here soon enough, I tell you. Again, if you're just joining my soldering irons, I do have the KSGER, Kesture, you want to call it, or something like that. But you know, I use this thing constantly, and the handle is actually, it's got something going on with it. I don't know if it's loose wire inside or something, but if I hold it one way, I now get an error, and that just started the last stream at the last possible minute. So I ordered a new one, it's coming. I'm gonna try to open this up probably off stream and see what's up with it, but you know, I want to do this because I got a lot of people asking to, you know, oh, can you do one, like, you know, do the full version of one? So I was like, yeah, I'll do one live. There you go, that's perfect. All right, so the nice thing about doing that is that, okay, this is now running off 5 volts. It's all good, it's all safe. And again, all we did was where this is, where you have the V in, again, your 5 volts, and your ground, I just soldered to the inverse of those pads. I already checked it on like the million installs I've done. The black wire, that's your ground, red is your voltage. Again, you want to take off the HDMI, boom, boom. Want to put it on, boom, boom. So, it's just a convenience thing. Yeah, I mean, you definitely could try. I haven't tried it with the OSSC yet, but yeah, I definitely can. That's also another thing that I think that this, you know, again, I love the OSSC. It's incredible. I mean, it's right there. I love it. I still think that's king. But, you know, for something like that, like, especially if, like, one of my TVs hates the OSSC, absolutely hates it. Doesn't, 5X mode is just useless with it. And even, like, for example, 2X on 480p, that brings it up to, you know, 960 there. It doesn't work. It just doesn't show up. Yet the 1280 by 960 option on this board shows up on that TV. So again, compatibility wise, it does help out too. So in some scenarios. So it's, yeah, like I said, it's got its use cases. And for just, you know, and I've been kind of going slow and showing every step here, but you know, for what it is, if you don't mind a little bit of tinkering, golden. That's the way to do it. All right, time for the Plexi. Time for some Plexi. Let's do the peelies. So I've never done this part before. Like, shut off the iron. I'm not gonna need an iron for this. I hope not. There we go. Savor the peelies. There we go. Wow, that was You know, I buy a lot from Lions 3, so there's a lot of peelies. That was not a great peelie. Not that wasn't a great peelie. But that's okay. Let's take the thumbnail, get all these out. There we go. Yeah, I won't smoke, but you know, they offer so many different options. Pocono? Poco? Something like that. For acrylic, so. This will be a good peelie, it's nothing in the way. Look at that. Oh, no, it got stuck in a hole. There we go. Fantastic. There it is. Alright, first time I'm taking a look at one. I like it. I do wish it didn't have this, kind of looking at it now, because then, you know, on my other, you know, my other one there I made in that video, it's over there. You know, I kind of condensed it all into this square footprint on with the 3D print and everything. So I kind of would have liked that, but you know, this will work. The one thing about having it off to the side though is that you get less interference. Sometimes if you put the ESP8266 too close to, like for example, the chip or around here, you can get some interference, and then it won't show, it won't pop up as an AP pointer. You have to get real close to. So it's actually an advantage to have it out to the side if you want, if you feel it that way. I kind of feel like, you know, my setup, you know, smaller the better, you know. It's like, oh, it's already full, it's overfilled. It actually looks ridiculous right now because I was playing some Naomi. So like legit, I've got, you know, I've got everything set up for it. It's like, it's just everywhere. Which I kind of was thinking about doing a stream of like, maybe some Dolphin Blue or something. It's a great game. Never played it, but I've heard great things about it. Oh, that was good peely. That was a good peely right there. Oh my gosh, just got stuck to that. All right, cool. So, I bought this whole standoff kit from Amazon. So, see how this works. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna have to give that a try though, Afro man. I think that'd be pretty awesome, to be honest. All right, looking at my ESP board. This might be a little bit higher because I decided to leave the pins in, which I never do, but you know, because this one has like that elongated part, I was like, all right, I'll just do that. Instead of using a D1 Mini, I'll use this. So, but that's fine. We can work with that. Oh, there it is. So let's see. So we're gonna go with, yeah, we'll go with that. We'll try that out first. See how that goes. I guess you can go with like brass standoffs if you wanted to. No big deal. Just out of curiosity, because that's really the big thing we gotta clear. Oh yeah, and that gigantic pin. Oh, it's like a hair with that gigantic pin. Let's say we don't have a big pin. Fits much better. Can it fit with this? Let's see. So you're experiencing live trial and error. That's what you're doing right now. Yeah, that bends the wires a lot. Yeah, we'll go with the other one. And what I'm going to do instead, now that like this DuPont one is huge, I'm just going to go ahead and cut it and solder it. Cut it and solder it. Turn back on that iron. Hopefully it'll work for me. Yeah, because otherwise it's just kind of ridiculous how big it would be. There we go. Like I'd have to go up another size in these posts. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. So the debug pin is D6. But yeah, I think I have a little bit of an inkling of why my video is blowing up. And that's because also, you know, Bob, who is an incredible human being, of the pleasure of meeting him multiple times in real life. He's literally incredible. I cannot say enough good things about Bob. He linked my video in the actual, in his video. So if you look in the description, he put my video in there. So I actually reached out and I thanked him too. I was like, oh, thanks, that's awesome. You don't have to do that. Like, you're amazing. So that also might be why it's, you know, blowing up a bit. Because, you know, I bet you, like, people, what they want to do is, you know, they see it and they kind of want to be like, all right, I want to learn more about this. Like, especially because it is kind of a niche thing still, which it has for years. I mean, when I first did one, I bought it, like, I want to say 6 months, and it just sat. It just sat in in the envelope it came in. And I just was like, I had that, I had bought an ESP board, but just didn't even think anything of it. And I, like, regret not cracking it open earlier, because there's so many times I would have been like, oh yeah, like, I'm going to use the GBS instead of the OSSC for, you know, whatever reason. Oh, I have a cat. And I have all cat hair on everything. If you have a cat or a dog, I love them. But, man, does their hair get on everything. Oh my gosh. Oh yeah, see, the camera is picking up some of these hairs. Just gotta take a microfiber to this afterwards. The lovable. Love my cats, but man. Hair gets everywhere. So I'm thinking this would be good size. Let's check it out. Oh yeah, that's good. Yeah, I wish the spacing was a little bit better on the ESP board, but doesn't matter. I mean, I bet you if I really looked into it, there might be an ESP board that would fit better, but at this rate, meh. Yeah, it looks like that'll clear everything. Let's try it. Get that out of the way. what is kind of nice, and it's something that I think is pretty cool, is that because this is so cheap and doesn't take much time to really set up. Again, I'm taking my time. If I wasn't streaming, I'd be zooming through this a little bit fast, definitely faster. You can make multiple ones for multiple use cases. Like, it's pretty great because it's so cheap. It's just like, if you wanted to just, instead of have this just be in your setup, like all together, you could, go ahead and put this, like, whatever you use for your PS2, just for your PS2. Oh, those little plastic things are going to keep this thing from coming down. How much bigger are these? Yeah, that's what I got to use. Either that or I just chop them off. Yeah, I'll just use the longer ones. That's strapped for time, I'm good. Yeah, I'm not gonna show this working on stream only because I don't really have a monitor around here, so take my word for it, it works. Look at my video. What's this one? Yeah. Yeah, the only other mod I would do to this is that clock generator mod, if of course I had more in stock here, but I don't have any. I did order more, but it'll take a bit. There we go. I'm gonna put this in for now, and then kind of, see what will I do for this. Okay, that'll be good. That'll work. So we'll do 2 of those, and then two of these, we'll do 2 of these. Okay. Cool. And then we'll be done. It's a little higher than I'd want, but it's really just because of those pins, which, again, I could desolder those pins, and I might just later. But I did it kind of like I said, I wanted to do this video, kind of like your, if your average person just was trying this out, like, what would they go through beginning to finish? Minus the case. This case isn't like available commercially, so. Again, you can get it made though. The CSP fit better on this board, but it's all good. think about neating these up. Well, we'll see. It's funny, I've already got more viewers on YouTube than I did on Twitch. And so far the stream's been fine on YouTube, which on Twitch, it was not fine. As evident by that NeoSD loader video, I started artifacting. And obviously you can't see it in OBS, so I didn't even know what was happening. And it stinks, because I was kind of like, oh, that'll be a good install guide for people. They need it. Yet. I mean, you can still use it, but it's not the quality I would have liked it to be. So, all it means is I gotta get another, gotta do another install of it. I don't know if anyone spotted anything over my right shoulder this entire time. I'll be doing an install on that one, too. I bet you no one's noticed it over my right shoulder. I like put it there on purpose right before the stream. I was like, oh, I'll just kind of hint, do a quick hint, because I do have a purposely I'm gonna put it in a Model 2 US Saturn, and the reason why is because people have been saying overall that that's the one that needs the extra power. So I am going to solder that extra power pin, because I think, I get why TerraOnion went ahead and put it in, like, you can just like put it into the pins, and yeah, that'll work. But I can't say that's the most secure method. But again, I totally get, if you're a novice, you don't solder, then that's probably your best option for now. However, if you do own a soldering iron, you can easily solder those too, so I'll be doing that. Because I can almost guarantee that my Model 2 is going to need that. It's going to need that, the extra power. Most Model 2s doing it is a Model 2 US. You also solder them? Yeah. It's just like, makes the most sense. Like, I get it though, like, you know what I mean? Like, no knock on TerraOnion, like, they legit, I think it's a great product, at least from what I've seen so far. Again, I haven't, I set up my hard drives and I put on the new database images, that the new covers that they tweeted out earlier right before this. But yeah, I didn't, I kind of saw it and was like, I get why you did it. Like, why you advertise it that way, but like it's not very safe. It's like, yeah. I'll put a space and sandwich the board between that, since it just is over here. But yeah, man. NeoDev, that guy he's genius level on with ODEs. He is good with ODEs. Alright, not too bad. The first Plexi install. I like it. It definitely dresses it up, huh? Makes it look like it's like commercially, well, I guess it is commercially bought, but yeah, the whole setup. Yeah, it actually looks nice. Oh yeah, makes sense. I'm actually, yeah, because I have a whole bunch of those kick harnesses that they said that you can use for like reset and stuff. I actually, when I say I have a whole bunch, I mean, I was like, they're like, oh yeah, you're gonna need the connectors. I was like, oh, these harnesses? I got a few. But yeah, I mean, you can get these things like dirt cheap. I've used these in like other applications and stuff too. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, this might be, yep, the same one that would go in the GBS if you want to do like a scarred in. If I'm pretty sure. I haven't done it, but yeah. So I mean, those are the ones you use, and I think you only use, if I'm not mistaken, the green wire, which is the fourth one in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, fourth one in from this pin side. Whoop. The green wire is the one you use for the reset on the Saturn, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah. But here we are, GBS Control. This thing. Yeah, let me get out my 3D print one that's over there. Oh yeah, I'll definitely show how to show the how to add the reset wire for the Saturn. You can actually do it in 2 ways. The reset wire for the Saturn, let's put that there. Reset wire for the Saturn with the mode, you can actually go ahead and put it to, if it's a Model 2, you can put it right to the reset switch itself on the motherboard. And that's all it's doing, is just, you know, bringing it down, doing a soft reset. But there's also, you can solder it to, there's a spot on the board, if I'm not mistaken, no, it's actually directly on the chip. It's, I believe, pin 53 on one of the chips there. You can just go ahead and it just brings it down and, you know, resets. So yeah, I think definitely, like, you know, both these functionally the same thing, but it definitely dresses it up, the Plexi, huh? It really does, you know, in comparison to, this was just like a quick 3D print I did too. But yeah, but again, can't stress it enough. This is not replacing this. This is going to stay right where it is in my setup, and it doesn't replace this, something that, like I said before, the Taito F3, I can't get that arcade board to work on, like, I have to tweak it to get it to work on the OSSC, otherwise it doesn't show up. This thing takes anything at all, I swear. It's insane what it and just it works. It's not going to replace, again, if you have one of these little classic retro tinks that unfortunately are end of life, but you know, he's making another one with just S-video and composite, and I think that's awesome, because honestly, at this rate, I would get this bad boy if you're going to go retro tink, which is the Pro. The scan lines on this are unbelievable. They look so good, especially with the firmware update a couple of firmwares ago, I think, that they really like tuned in those scan lines. It looks incredible. And of course, this is looking long in the tooth, but I mean, this still will still do the job. The lag is a lot, but for streamers, this is a great option too, especially if you're, you know, using an OSSC and your capture card hates it. You know, you can split it off, and you know, you could use this if you wanted. But it's one of those deals where I cannot stress this enough. The GBS Control is just another tool in the toolbox. Some people get a little too crazy out there to saying like, this is the OSSC killer, man. No, it's really not. I think the OSSC still looks better than this does, with 2D content especially. I think 2D content, you cannot get sharper than the OSSC. Ooh, man, it's just like, so you could literally cut yourself one of those pixels. Are so sharp, it's unbelievable. And that's why I love this, and I can't wait for the OSSC Pro, which honestly, you know, we've seen some of the features that might come out in the OSSC Pro, and you know, goodness knows that could take a while. I mean, it doesn't happen overnight, but you know, this is a good stopgap, I would say, you know, where I can now enjoy PS2 on a PS2. You know, previously I've used a lot of PS2 games on my PS3 or on a CRT, and it just, you know, I don't want to. I want to use a PS2 when I play PS2, and I want it to look good. So again, I'll probably, you know, I still play on the CRT, especially like on games. You know, Time Crisis 2 is insanely amazing. I literally have 2 CRTs next to each other, 2 PS2s, 2 GunCon 2s. Like, you know, anytime anyone's ready, it's like ready to roll. But again, for any like when I wanted to just like sit down, relax, play some PS2 on my 4K TV, and again, it's 480i. This is the way to go. Really is. Yeah. Yeah, the profile loading is awful. Just awful. I agree. Couldn't agree more. Literally, I like, because I had the FrameMeister. I bought that thing years ago. We're talking like years ago. And it's so funny because legit, you know, at the time, it's like, you know, the OSSC hadn't even, I don't think the OSSC came out yet. And it was just like the FrameMeister was literally it. That's all we had. We had no RetroTink. We had, you know, we had the GBS Control technically, but they didn't have the custom firmware and stuff. But man, I think I'm like scarred from just going through the menus every time. And when you set the profiles, like, you know, finally Fiber NX, you know, shout out to him. He did a great job, you know, putting in like profiles you just load up and you're good to go. Same what they did with the OSSC. I mean, his profiles are amazing. But it's like, if you want to go through those menus and then just, of course, like for this one, it's like all the way down the bottom, like, you know, to switch profiles. So you have to go all the way down there. Then you're going to go through the profiles. It's just like, I agree, it was a pain. But it's all we had. It was either that or that horrible SCART. You know, we all know which one I'm talking about. That horrible SCART, you know, to HDMI that was on Amazon that other people had recommended. And I knew right away it was junk. Because you could even see, like, you could see the combing of like the inner layer. Oh, it's horrible. Don't ever get that. But that's also like another thing, right? So if you're a tinkerer and you're like, yeah, you know, I kind of want something that works. Maybe the OSSC doesn't work with your TV, or maybe you just don't have an OSSC yet, and you like to tinker, then GBS Control might be an option for you. You know, if you really aren't a tinkerer at all, I mean, the RetroTink, you can't get any more plug and play than that. Like, it's plug and play. And it's great. Mike Chi did a great job on these. Like, and it's so crazy to think it started out with this, you know, really it started out with the Pi hats and all that he had, but it started with this little guy. And then, you know, it's just, now he's got the SCART. I've got the SCART to component to SCART upstairs too. I mean, he's doing great. He's incredible. Oh, just smacked that. There you go. Yeah, exactly. Definitely not an OSSC color. 100% agree. Exactly. Like I keep saying, it's another tool in the arsenal. Like, honestly, the other one I've used with realistically 3 consoles and some arcade boards. I tried it on Super Nintendo once, and I was like, it doesn't look that great for like 2D content. It just doesn't. The OSSC is far superior for that, far superior. But the GBS Control, again, my PS2, that's the only way I play PS2 now, straight up on anything that's not a CRT. And there's certain PlayStation Saturn games that I know for sure that, you know, because of the quick switching to resolutions between 240p and 480i, I'm like, all right, you got to use this. I mean, it's instant. And even in my other video, I showed literally Silent Hill, which is notorious for that menu. You know, switching resolutions to 240p to 480i, and it's seamless. It looks like it's, you know, on a CRT. You know, like playing it on a CRT, seamless. So it's incredible. And again, I cannot say enough about that motion adaptive deinterlacing, and I guarantee, especially with all the, you know, the kind of like, you know, even though like this has been around for a while, with all the different stuff going on, kind of like people knowing more about the GBS Control, I feel like once we get that very hyped but very, very, it's going to be incredible, OSSC Pro, it'll probably offer that motion adaptive deinterlacing. I almost can guarantee it. Because again, Bob, deinterlacing, I never liked it. Like, I never did. And I always felt like, and what I used to do is I used to play PS2 through the FrameMeister because of that. But it's just so many games, like, you know, try playing Parappa the Rapper 2 with a FrameMeister. It's a whole different world of challenge. It's a whole different world. Like, so I was like, yeah, now you can. I mean, it's the proof's in the pudding. All right, so there you go. So we've assembled it. It looks, I think this looks, you know, it definitely makes it look a little bit less like a $20 board that we soldered together with an ESP board. So yeah, I definitely, you know, if you can, and you're willing to, I definitely recommend getting the acrylic. I mean, I definitely think it looks nice. It definitely is big though, right? So for size comparison here, I'll take out that. I mean, here's your OSSC, right? So here, line this up on this side. So the acrylic makes it huge, versus obviously if you would just use this, it's literally just the square. See, so it's a little bit more manageable, but yeah, we'll see. Not bad, not bad. I know I've thought about changing this out too, but yeah. There you go. It does. It makes it look clean. It does. Again, it makes it look like it's on a $20 like board you bought off of eBay. And as Bob put in his video, you know, you get bolts instead of the board. Oh, that's crazy. That's crazy. I was like, what? When I saw that, it's because again, I bought this board off eBay, and I bought my other one off eBay too. But in my video, I linked to Amazon because again, Amazon is definitely more trustworthy than eBay. And thank goodness I did, because I didn't realize people were getting bolts. Like, oh my gosh. But, oh well. Yeah, just buy it on Amazon. Be safer, you know. So, alright. I'm going to get up out of here. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you go ahead and if you want, hopefully this helps somebody out, to go ahead and assemble one literally from, again, we started with the Arduino and went all the way through. So hopefully YouTube will archive this. And if anyone wants the, you know, the short version, you get the videos, the 20-minute video. If you want the long version, well, there you go, you got that too. Especially if you want to take a look at the Plexi. I guarantee now this has gotten some like hype. I feel like more, like I bet you you'll start to see people like assembling and selling these things, honestly. But you know, hey, here's what it is. All right, take care. Thanks for joining. And if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. I am on Twitch still. Again, I'm still an affiliate on Twitch. So I'll still be streaming there sometimes. But I definitely think I'm going to be streaming more on YouTube, mainly because I definitely see I've got more views. Oh, thank you. Thank you right there for the sub. Definitely because already I had more problems with Twitch streaming than I have on YouTube, which is crazy. I would never have thought of that, honestly. Because, like, legit, this has gone flawlessly. Yet, it seems like every time I go on Twitch, there's, like, it cuts out, it artifacts. It's crazy. And I'm using the same exact thing I normally use. So, definitely, like, I might be doing on YouTube more, to be honest. So, which kind of stinks, because I kind of have built a following up on Twitch. But, oh well. All right. Thanks for joining, guys. And we'll see you soon. Again, especially because I'll just... direct my attention over to oh man, oh man, because we're definitely, I mean, granted the Dreamcast, I mean, that seems like plug and play. I probably won't stream that. Maybe I will, I don't know, we'll see. I don't know, I'll get crazy. But for the Saturn, especially because with the Saturn, in some models, it seems like mainly Model 2s, you do have to go ahead, like I said before, and put in that power cable. You know, I'll just do a quick install of that, quick tear down, and also put in the reset wire, which is, you know, pretty awesome, because, you know, with the Dreamcast, I have the DC digital. I mean, I highly recommend that, honestly, it's incredible. So it's like, that can reset it with the new firmware that Dan released, but, man, to have it reset on a Saturn, that's awesome. That's incredible. So yeah, so again, stay tuned. We'll be doing all this good stuff. What's up? Allow you to multi-stream. Looking forward to that SAP install. Nice. Absolutely. Again, it'll be good. So again, it shouldn't be too long either, honestly. It's just a quick tear down and shove it in an SSD and there you go. One thing about the SSD though, if you haven't done it already, is that don't forget, when you go ahead and put it all together, you want to put the covers that especially the one they just released on Twitter, well, they released in their database, but they tweeted about it. You put that bin file, you put that right on the root of your hard drive, SD card, whatever. And don't forget, when you put in your games, you got to put, which they don't really, I haven't really heard too much about it, but it's in the manual. So, and I read, it's RTFM, I read the manual. Literally, you have to like put the games in like a Saturn folder. So you do like you know, on the root of your SD card or hard drive or SSD or whatever, Saturn, and then from there you can do your, you know, what I've done is done Europe, Japan, US, other regions, and then breaking it down from there, like A and B, C and D, etc. But you have to put them all in one big Saturn folder or one big Dreamcast folder for it to work. So, yeah, I mean, I haven't plugged it in yet, but I'm sure it'll be good. I'm excited. All right, so take care. We'll have that Saturn up soon. I mean, we'll probably end up doing it tomorrow, probably. I mean,